know that I do receive some compensation from the Phobies team as a result of being part of that program. Now, I loved Phobies before, and I still love Phobies now, and I expect I will still continue to love Phobies in the future. So look forward to more Phobies content coming from Random's Thoughts. So now, on with the show. Welcome back, everyone, to Random's Thoughts. Another round one from Fright Night 2 coming at you. We're jumping into vazy versus staygold here on Crypto. So let's see what they have in store. So as mentioned, down here on Crypto in the blue trunks is vazy. We have a unicorn plus bachelor opening, which is very unique, especially when looking at what we've seen on Crypto in our previous match, as well as what we played on ladder, what we observe on ladder. Like, I haven't seen this opening at all yet. So let's see how it does. Now, over here spawning in the orange trunks is staygold. I have to wonder, have they seen this opener before, and how are they going to respond to it? So we see a more typical opener in a murder wing, although it's claiming the northmost point. This is a little strange. So you could easily have had the bachelor claim the top point and then the murder wing either sit on the stem here. It could have retaken this. You don't want to take the mid with it because then the opposing murder wing can just come in and meatball it. But we see a follow-up that makes more sense from our blue player, and that is Gravedigger breaking this. We saw it in our last game. We've been seeing it in a lot of Crypto games. Gravedigger has a lot of value opening up around your hearts. That way you get a lot more mobility for positioning. Now, the Bachelor does what Bachelor does, and that is claim the middle point. The problem is of course, we're going to have the follow-up in the other Bachelor coming in. Going to clear it out with the help from the Unicorn, which did lay down a trap here. Somewhat expected. I could see waiting on the trap, but since given the positioning, it probably wasn't going to do anything on the previous turn. Might as well get the trap out there. It's a fairly quick cooldown. The jar follow-up also makes sense, and we get the elimination of the Bachelor. Now, because we got a jar from our orange player, there's no other low-key unit in order to try and follow up. So we're going to pause here because there's a couple things of note. The lack of the other keys means that there's yet another turn. Well, not yet another, but there's an extra turn for our blue player to sit on panic point control. Now, the follow-up here is we get a Henrietta. There's your cheap key that's going to trade out. But we get a mimicking the play from our blue player, and that is, it's actually a slightly higher level unicorn. This is a level 8 versus a level 7. The unicorn goes south, which is a little awkward. I mean, I expected to it's clearly going to move twice and then get out of this lava. I guess it's fine. You could do the same play that our blue player had done and try and trap up the top. We'll have to see where this unicorn ends up because I'm not sure exactly what they want to get out of this yet. So we have 4 Phobies to 3. The reason I'm calling it out is you do have to be careful of maxing out your Phobies and thereby limiting your options on these small maps. Unicorn seems like it doesn't have the trap range to be effective. The jar keeps them away. Yeah, I think you're right. If you can get the unicorn into position early and then trap the center point, I could see it, which is what I think our blue player was trying to do. And then the follow-up jar from orange eliminated that possibility. But at this stage, I don't think this follow-up unicorn makes much sense. Just getting some comments from chat over here about the game. Doing this live over on Twitch, RTChomp GG. But in the meantime, we get some repositioning. We do get the follow-up 1 key so that it'll reclaim after the Henrietta goes in. And we get some softening up of the opposing unicorn. Unicorn is better when not laying traps. It has a high level damage. That's true. But there are a lot of high damage range Phobies. Granted, maybe not so many at 2 keys, but, you know. So we do see a recap of the bottom panic point. This is interesting. The unicorn runs in order to avoid the jar. Obviously, there was a trap there, but this Phobie was going to die the moment it went in, so our blue player is not concerned about it. Now, we do get my favorite play, which is Gravedigger blocking off this point and sealing this off. So now our orange player has to interact with the center point and the top point only, or for the most part. And right now, they don't have any low-key Phobies in order to really contest anything. And we get the unicorn onto the stem. So we have a high damage range Phobie on the stem. We have a jar that's lurking, trying to avoid getting hit from that murder wing. and we have a majority of panic points going blue. But we see an 8 key come down. For anybody who didn't catch that orange was banking keys, we see a Heartbreaker. Now, notably, there are no abyss tiles on this map. There are only lava. But if you yoink something and beside myself onto the lava and then pop it with that jar, that represents a lot of damage. And it's a 3 range phobie. Now, granted, Heartbreaker is fairly fragile. But you could set up some mean plays here. Let's see what Heartbreaker does. Chat's going nuts over here. I see it. So we just get some positioning. We're trying to get stuff into range so that this thing... I don't know if Heartbreaker is good here. 2 turns still locked. It's true. The Heartbreaker does have a while. In fact, because of the 2 lock here, which hopefully I'm not covering with the camera. But we do see a retreat from our blue player who's not interested in screwing with any of this. In fact, we see this is very interesting. So we see a follow-up honey bear that immediately vomits on their own panic point and the lava. I'm not real sure why that happened. I guess to disable their... Because this, I believe, disables the traps as well. Now, we're not really expecting an invade here, other than maybe the Heartbreaker. But I'm not real clear on why that honey bear did that. What's the counter, Smiley? You can dive Heartbreaker. Heartbreaker, keep in mind that this is a level 10 Heartbreaker. It has 1200 health. Like, it's not... It's made of paper. It's made of paper. If you want to kill it and you're in range, you can probably kill it. So in the meantime, we see more traps going down. We see some more breaks going down. And we get the jar back on... Now, on the stem. Now, the problem is that this Heartbreaker should be live. This Heartbreaker is going to be live. The question is, what is it going to yoink? Now, we did get a trap up north. I think I missed that one because we're only seeing some of the traps. The traps are always kind of fuzzy in... They're always kind of fuzzy in replays. So we are, as the orange player, they are forced to try and invade with Unicorn, which kind of sucks. Like, that hurts. So we get the beside myself onto Honey Bear, and then a follow-up spud to ensure that it goes down. This doesn't feel great. But at a certain point, you just need to pick stuff off. Like, you have to get value out of the Heartbreaker. You invested so many keys. But in the meantime, you still have a blue panic point advantage. There's still a 1 key on the board, which this matters because... It matters because it can run around and recap things. It's obviously not going to hang out, but it also represents just a spare 300 and change damage. The Muffin answer is cute. Oh no. Not like this. The Cowbell Assassin. Cowbell Assassin takes down the jar, so you still have a jar on Crypto, and your opponent doesn't. So, just like that, our orange player is left with not too many options. Now, they do end up with a Collapster. Reposition the Heartbreaker here. I would... Did you use your meatball? You used meatball. Oh no! The meatball wouldn't even kill the jar if it was live. It's 531 to a 533 health jar. This is a level 10 jar. And it's a, presumably a level 6. No, it's a level 7 Murder Wing. That hurts. That hurts. I mean, you can't get it because this was on cooldown. I was going to say sack the Murder Wing to get the jar. Because this Barzilla... I don't know, it's tough because Barzilla plus Unicorn and Gravedigger is still threatening, but maybe you can outposition them, snipe something at some point. You still have the Heartbreaker, so that way you could reposition them forcibly. But this is looking dicey. This is looking dicey. Heartbreaker is good in today's weekly rotation, Xylo. Yeah, Rempass, there are a couple maps that Heartbreaker's really nasty on. So we get a very aggressive invade with the Barzilla onto the enemy stim, which I can respect because, well, I always love me some aggressive plays, but Barzilla, as mentioned before, is a heaping helping of hit points. 3,303 to be precise. And it's also going to be dealing a bunch of boosted damage, 797 due to being on the stim. It's going to be difficult to dislodge it. That is a pretty good combo if you can get all of that with a Heartbreaker player. But that is like a lot of keys. That's a lot of things. So we get the Burrow from Klopster in order to help take down the Gravedigger here. But in the meantime, our orange player is suddenly way behind on health. 3,500 health. You're going to have a panic point disadvantage. And you have an enemy on your stim. Now, granted, you'll be able to pop over and hit this Barzilla or reposition it. Heartbreaker should be live at this stage. But you may not even... Are you going to live through this turn? You have to, like, kill everything if you live. Oh, and recap the points? I don't think that's happening, chat. I don't think that's happening. So the Heartbreaker did not pay off. Big and scary, but not quite enough. In fact, it was the uncommon Barzilla that ended up realistically taking down the game. Pass turn. GG. Barzilla is actually common. I stand corrected, or sit corrected. You get the idea. And here we are, zoning in on Ergo? I'm pretty sure this is Ergo. I was very confident before I started this sentence, and all of a sudden I'm very confused at the end of this sentence. But we're going to go with Ergo and assume that that is the map. So zoning in as our blue player, we have staygold. Down 1-0. And on the other side, we have our orange player who's hoping to close out this series in Game 2 of our best-of-3 match. And that is vazy. Now, our blue player opened up with Snowball, something I am very jealous of. I really need to get me a Snowball. And capping the center point with Snowball seems pretty solid. Yes, Ergo limited. Thank you. Chat's got my back. Chat's got my back. So, what's the answer from our orange player? They take a more standard opener with Murder Wing. Well, standard if you were going first. I think it's difficult to get this set up going second because, at least for me, frequently people are taking this point in the bottom left with their Murder Wing, and therefore I am unable to advance my own because it'll just, die. I stand by, this is the perfect map. This is a pretty good map. I like this map. But we do see another common play on this map, which is Gravedigger breaking this block. And we get the mirror from our orange player, content to leave the panic points at even. Now, the Snowball is still lurking. It's hanging out on this point, but obviously, given the 3 range, it can be just about anywhere it needs to be. And we get a jar follow-up. So we have a 3-move phobie and a 3-range phobie on our blue player's side. We do have similar, but not quite the same mobility or threat radius from our orange player, and they are now down 2 panic points to 1, so they do have to make something happen. In the meantime, we get a 1-key follow-up from our blue player. Honestly, while I am a fan of getting these 1 keys both prepped and ready to go, does it have to happen this turn? Yeah, I think I like this here. Having this ready so that way, if your opponent tries to recap a point, is valuable. Plus, being back here, it's safe. It's a small enough map that you can get to just about any of the points. If you decide to be aggressive, you could, of course, just dive in and go from there. The jar here is safe. I was just double-checking that an opposing Snowball couldn't reach it, but I think that was already calculated by our blue player. So our orange player at 6 keys, our blue player at 5, and we're just doing a... I was going to say... Well, how will we put it? We're just going to say they're dancing. We're just going to say they're dancing as they reposition. And we get a Baba Haha. Shout out to all my Baba Haha fans. If you're not sure what that inside joke is, check out the Random Thoughts Discord, especially if you want to play more Fright Nights. Throwing that out there. Gotta sneak that in, slide it in, just like when I say likes and subscribes help, because they really do if you're watching this on YouTube. But I actually like Baba Yaga here, but oh no. No! It's every dentist's dream, because look at that. Look at this smile. My man needs to floss. Chuck, cringe moment. So, oh no, it gets even worse. So we see the Gravedigger setting up the ramparts for Chuck so that it can just get in position and just start shelling away. So we get the Baba Yaga trap. Makes sense. Because this is one of those weird positions where we've talked about in a lot of games. Our blue player actually has 5 Phobies out. So what is their answer to Chuck here? Probably get something killed is the real answer, in all seriousness. So this Bachelor probably needed to go in and aggressively take that bottom point. So that way, you can free up some slots, and you're also pressuring your opponent, who has taken a few turns off, and while they still have a fair amount of life, you could have set up to try and cap a lot of these things. I'm not real sure why the snowball keeps getting exercised by going back and forth, but, you know. That's true, Honda. Always hate a passive snowball. I'm a little surprised the snowball's being so passive. I think the traps are good against Chuck, though. You can stand back easy. Yes and no. So these traps, let's see how... This is a level 6 Baba Yaga. So it's 575. It's not actually going to kill this. And just think, if this snowball had, like, spit on this cat a couple turns ago, like, maybe here, it would have died. So maybe that wouldn't be worth it. Point is, if this was softened up, it would have died. And then this point would not have been recapped. But instead, that's not the case. And now, here's the other kicker. This Bachelor being on this point means you can't necessarily retake it without causing something to be out of position. And you can't run the Bachelor back to reclaim this point. Chuck can turret in heart range, and then if anything gets close enough to kill it, i.e. the Phobie lock blue player has a weak Phobies out, Chuck can heal. Yeah, you can definitely lock your opponent to a degree with this setup. Here, we have such a wide open area that, like, you're not going to be able to defend Chuck that easily. But the damage being represented here is not huge. And the combination of the Murder Wing and Chuck means that this jar, unless it's actively diving that turn, is probably never going to connect with anything. So right now, our orange player is winning the war of the 1 keys, because they're able to sacrifice this Bachelor here and then recap this point. You have to get Miss Moffat and he can't advance, then trade 1 keys for a neutral panic point. Phobies is easy. These players hate pillars. Yeah, the last few games we've watched, every obstacle has gone down. The map is almost completely cleared. So this is an interesting follow-up, and I have to assume that from our blue player, this is actually our... like, the best Phobie they have at this stage. It's a 6 cost. It's a level 4. It's not really answering much of anything. I guess you can make an argument that the counterattack maybe is going to be helpful for Chuck. Negate some of the undead life leech, but I don't know about that one. Instead, we have the Moffat set up. We got the Gravedigger set up. We got the Chuck set up. We're going to see some blue Phobies go down, and then we're going to see some of those 3 keys probably get spent in order to help supplement forces here. But now we have Panic Point Advantage orange. We have a Chuck on the stim. The only, I guess, advantage here is possibly blue can dive this bottom panic point, but keep in mind the Miss Moffat pull is online, so whatever is going to be in range is in range. Obstacles population gone? Yep, true. Chuck has a lot less max health than I thought he did. Yes. Chuck isn't as tanky as one might think, but it's pretty tanky. So we get a Clinico follow-up. I'm not a huge fan of that. Not a huge fan. But I guess it isn't the end of the world. So we get a pull here. I think our orange player appropriately guessed where this trap is, or did they? Never mind. They were doing it strictly so they could get the dimensional pull there. Must have been calculated. So we get the AWOL follow-up. There's still 1 key remaining for our orange player, but right now, I don't know how blue invades this. I just don't think they can get on the Chuck and not risk losing like everything. Basically, the game had to have been flipped several turns ago so that way our blue player had an advance. Like, they had to take a chance, make an aggressive play. I don't think that Zappy here... This is Zappy, right? Yeah, this is Zappy. I don't think Zappy was really what you want. I don't think that actually answers anything that was on the board. It could have been any of a multiple different things. That this was a phobie they just got, they want to try it out. It could have been, you know, this was the best option they had for 6 keys, and they felt that it was the best damage output. Variety of different things. But, despite all the traps on the board, we're about to see a dead Zappy, because we got Chuck on a stim, among other things that can light it up. And there just aren't enough blue phobies left. Zappy was amazing for that one large map like a month ago. Had the Abyss in the middle and the middle panic point surrounded by pillars. There's a few like that fitting that description, I think. Trying to remember. I have to go back and look. So in the meantime, we're just getting some repositioning. It's kind of all over but the crying. And we're going to see a 2-0 victory going to our orange player. You get some cool traps going off, though. And that's actually the end of the replay. I assume a concession came in here. So shout out to both players for playing in Fright Night. If you're interested in playing in Fright Night, you want to get in on some Phobies tournaments, then hit up the Random Slots Discord in the description of this video, or come by the live stream. That's the word I was looking for. Live stream over on Twitch, RTChompGG. But that's going to do it for this particular breakdown. So as always, everybody, thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. And Black Lives Matter.